Let's make some 19 teens and 1920s toddler boy undergarments. Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin. I teach old-fashioned sewing skills, and we've been working through a series of trying to get as many babies and kids clothing done for at least the 19th and 20th centuries as much as I can get done before I get pregnant, so I don't have to stress about it later. So last month we made girl combination underwear for the 19 teens and 1920s, and they didn't turn out very good. I made, I think, 5 sizes. They ended up just being like half sizes, so they really weren't the sizes I needed. But I got at least a couple of them to work. I think I got like an 18 months, a 2T, and a 3T. And so I have used those patterns to draft myself some boys underwear based off a illustration of a pattern that I have, because I wasn't going to spend $25 and wait for the pattern to get here, and I didn't want to have to cut up an original pattern. So I used the pattern piece illustrations on the back of the pattern that's for sale and the measurements I've already used that I know kind of work, and I have myself a pattern. Do I know if it's going to work? Not really, but I'm going to try it. So let's see how this goes. Because clearly on top of my fabric is the most convenient and helpful place to sit, right? Alright, we are going to be using the 1907 machine today because that just makes sense. I should have cut the backs on the fold because, let's face it, it's a front opening garment and I didn't process that. So I had to stitch up this back, so now there's a seam there. I figured it doesn't really matter. It's underwear. We're going to sew the fronts to the backs now. Side seams and also at the shoulders. I'm also going to fell each of these seams because as underwear they will definitely be washed a lot. I did waste a lot of time by not choosing a mantua maker's hem or a French seam. You know what? I can turn this into a French seam. Especially if I make a very small French seam. We can do this. Okay. Should probably wait on the side seams. So I gotta figure out how the back is going to be fit into that. It will save time from, ironing all the felt seams down, so we'll just do it this way. Alright, the chicks will get really loud because it is late at night and they want to be sleeping, but I keep using the sewing machine and it keeps waking them up and they're not happy about it. But I'm going to work on the trousers right now, so I've gotten one mostly put together because it took me a really long time to figure out how these things go together. I had to find an original online that had pictures. It's on Etsy. It's like 150 bucks. I'm not paying for that to get it into my hands. So there were decent enough pictures for me to kind of see how one of these puts together. I'm pretty sure theirs is a woman's, not a child's, but it is split crotch. I also found a 19 teens pattern that is basically the exact same thing, but it's just longer legs, and it is also split crotch. So I'm going to make these split crotch even though the directions I have don't say to. I know it's a period technique. So the way I'm going to accomplish this is I did have these are the trouser parts. I did have them French seam together. I've taken off the French seam essentially about 2/3 of the way up-ish, a little over halfway up. I'm going to put in some bias tape to finish this off. trousers are a little bit bigger than the waistband by like an inch or so, so they need to be lightly gathered. I'm going to do that by hand. We'll put them into this waistband. Alright, this is the waistband. Now I did not do this right with the last one, but so I'm going to flip this up, and what I was doing is taking the second waistband and just sewing across. Then I realized that the way this is actually attached in, I don't want to sew up the sides. So I'm just going to sew right across the top. Part I gotta take out the side seam that we did because this attaches there. I should not have done that in already. I just didn't know any better. So the back piece I just hemmed up just a little bit, about a seam allowance width, and so I can stitch the bottom piece via the waistband straight on top. French seam the sides all the way down the pant legs. One side done, I got the other side to do. Also, I'm gonna fold in this because this is technically a facing, so I'll fold that in. And I think the next step is attaching that fun little doohickey to the curved seam, which I didn't enjoy last time, so I probably won't enjoy this time either. Alright, there's a little gusset that goes in between the legs, and so I'm stitching that in. Next I will be hemming the legs. They are split crotch most of the way down for potty purposes, which I'm wondering if I should have done that with the girls' ones, but the girls' patterns didn't seem to show that. But I am seeing at least some of the boys' patterns being split crotch, which makes sense. I wonder if there's with the girl ones, it just doesn't seem like that was the option. But I'm liking the style better because it just seems more convenient. I am now moving on to binding all of the raw edges. So that's literally just the neckline and the sleeves. And I'm doing it with some bias tape that's just self fabric. We're at the last step, which is closures. Doing buttons and buttonholes. I've already sewn the buttonholes, I just have to cut them open. I am still not sure what happened last month with the girl stuff because I used the same measurements. Like I wrote down the same measurements. I decided to try it with the boy stuff, and it's basically this same pattern just made up in different ways. This one, you can definitely see that there's a size difference, which is what was supposed to happen. So I do not know what happened last month with the fact that all 5 of them basically ended up being the exact same size, because I used those pattern pieces, the same pattern pieces, and I just reshaped them for the boys using the same measurements, and these are very clearly different sizes. So it must have been a cutting issue, or maybe I mixed up some sizes. I don't know how that happened. I don't understand. I'll have to figure that out another day. But the good news is my measurements weren't wrong. Like I didn't do the grading or the drafting wrong. It was somewhere in the execution. But I have a couple buttonholes cut open and we're done. So I chose 5 buttons per, undergarment. The biggest one, I set them about 2.5 inches apart. The next one, it was 2 1/4, and the smallest size, which is this size, they're set 2 inches apart. I set them pretty far apart because of the original that I had access to. Showed them pretty far apart, and most of the illustrations showed far apart buttons too. And these aren't exactly fitted garments, so it's not like you had to have a whole bunch of buttons to make sure it doesn't gape or anything. So yeah, I'm gonna put these on hangers. And we'll go see them on the wall. I don't have a toddler sized doll to put them on, unfortunately, so we don't get to see them on anything. We'll let them hang on the wall and y'all can at least see the size difference. Alright, so there's at least 2 of them. I can't zoom the camera out enough to see them all, but you can kind of see that there is a size difference. In this bottom one, it's much bigger, so that should definitely fit a 3-year-old. Maybe a 3.5 to 4-year-old, possibly, which is about what I needed it to do. So I'm happy with that. Now I guess the only thing, so I did add a little colored X in the back of each one. I didn't show it on camera, but the girls' ones I embroidered down the front to show the size difference, which I technically have stamps to denote sizes, and I totally could have done that. Didn't think about it until afterwards. But I kind of did it the color coding the same as the girls for sizes, which will help me down the road if I have kids close together that are wearing basically the same garment but just in different sizes. That way I can tell whose is whose. But yeah, I think this is a very cute design. It actually, honestly, we didn't even have to do last month's video at all because I found almost the exact pattern. In fact, it may be the exact pattern, but with the little girl on the front cover. So these seem to be unisex, which is super nice. I do like the split crotch. The only thing with the split crotch and then little girls' dresses concern me from a modesty standpoint, because children tend to be a little bit more rambunctious and, cartwheels and climbing, and I would like to protect that part of them a little bit more. Of course, boys would have trousers, which would negate any issue there. The underwear would still be split crotch, and they would just take off their trousers to go to the bathroom. So I think for them, the split crotch makes a little bit more sense, and I'm not entirely sure. I think it would very much depend on the child and their temperament on whether I'd feel comfortable with a child wearing those while also wearing a dress, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, they turned out super cute. I think if I were to do them again, I'd probably make the neckline a little bit, I don't know, more open. I'll have to see them underneath some of the garments that we end up making. We've already made some pieces, and if I had them around, I'd see. But I think most of those necklines went to the actual neck, in which case this won't be a problem. But my concern is that they're going to be visible underneath. I think I am much more pleased with this month's garments than I was last month. Again, I have no idea what happened to the sizing on those girl pieces. These were also, I think, a little bit easier to put together. it did take me a while to figure out how they were constructed because I don't have any directions. I had pictures of pattern pieces and a finished image. I didn't even have a finished image of the back of the garment. I just had 2 front views and a picture of what the pattern pieces were shaped like, and that's all I had. So the fact that we have garments that actually fit, where all the pieces fit together, including those little gussets, because measuring for those was really hard, and then it actually looks appropriately sized, I'm very pleased with that. Anyway, I think that's about it for this month. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell notifications so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.